All right, so in the previous video, I was supposed to give you a minute update and start doing this. Naturally, I went on a tangent and started thinking out loud. Remember pretty well. I really think the last video was something actually from from a new understanding. All right, but today's video is insecurities. I'm joking, man. In order to clean a tank, you empty it out first. Uh, Yeah, okay, so here's the thing that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. Remember, this is 3 months old. The snow is over 2 months old, sorry. So, a couple of weeks ago, there's a person that I considered myself to be on friendly terms with. But she has a practice which I just noticed. And the reason I noticed it is because I think I kind of like was a bit more myself the last time. Well, I was myself the last time. I just was not really involved. I was being very uncharacteristically distant, and it was done on purpose. Like the agreement was for us to kind of like, I don't know, how do you engage with people? It felt like, I don't know what I'm thinking about. Anyways, what happened was like a habit of kind of like exploring things, I guess, out loud, if that's, I don't know, if that's how I could actually explain it, exploring things out loud. And now that I explain it this way, it kind of feels like I was not necessarily the best of people around her. Because what I did was I asked questions and I probed. So I imagine I have to sit to actually like empty a tank, to clean the tank, you have to empty it. It's very arrogant to think you can clean the tank with water in it and still get clean water. I mean, like, it kind of is against the purpose of cleaning the tank is to get better looking water or cleaner water and all that shit. Hygiene. And in a way, the same, I look at insecurities this way because for, for, for you to actually be able to just have a clean tank, which is basically like emptying out your insecurities. And by empty, it literally, it doesn't really mean like you're just cleaning the tank, and the tank has a lot of things, including insecurities, experiences, skills. It really has a lot of things. But to look objective on something, you kind of have to like just expose its insides, right? Expose what's inside. I think that's a better way to say it. So the thing is, like, where do we draw the line between exposing the inside for the sake of just exposure or exposing the inside for the sake of dealing with it? Again, it's funny. This is a 2 month plus old note about cleaning tanks, which I now am able to correlate with a conversation that I had with my friend. So one of the state, one of the questions, one of the metaphors, or one of the stories that I actually like used was there are two types of people that dive into the sea. There are treasure hunters that dive in to get treasure, and there are explorers that are just there to explore the ocean and to just kind of like swim and enjoy the dive. Now, both of them enjoy the dive, but one actually comes out with something, and the other one's just enjoying something. Both are perfectly fine. Do anything you fucking want in this world. But then the narrative, from my perspective, is a bit different for when all you want to do is just empty your tank for the sake of emptying it and putting everything back in the way they were without putting any effort on the tank, right? And keep in mind, it's the dirtier parts that leave stains. So effectively, the more often you clean the tank, the less overall, the better the overall quality of your water over time, right? And I love how I'm explaining this. I'm sorry. So, what's the point in exposing your tank just for the sake of exposing it, and basically putting it in and not even cleaning it or not even dealing or filtering the water back, right? You have to consider a method where you get better water. And I approach understanding what's in the water first, maybe, and how we could like not really get it. So the next time I'm filling water in the tank, I want to kind of like filter for this kind of thing in order for me to not necessarily have that kind of dirt. So in order to place a filter, I have to understand what kind of like issues are happening with the water that I'm introducing to the tank. And naturally, what would happen is anytime anytime you add a filter, you kind of like have a reduced effect from all the other stuff. The only reason you were able to find out the filter is because you kind of like exposed your water, considered it, cleaned your tank, like you provided a good environment for it, which is basically after exposing the water. But then you took precautions or you took action towards better water into the future. And here, the divers that dive into like to find treasure, once they find treasure, they come out. They serve the purpose, they're good. I would allocate that to the same as like I'm exposing the water in order to see what the fuck's going on. I'm cleaning the tank. I'm not just, you can't clean the tank without exposing the water. So you kind of have to decide that I'm going to start giving attention to the tank. I'm going to start having to give attention to the whole methodology of filling the tank and leaving the tank. It's not just the plastic tank, it's how the water comes in, it's where the water comes out, it's all that. It's like different things. You're paying attention to it. But like if you're just exploring the water, you're just you're kind of just enjoying the whole the whole the smaller things that grab your attention. And there's a lot of them. It's beautiful. It's the ocean, right? But is it fair to kind of do that just because, well, is it fair to expose that to people? Is it fair to kind of like expose your dirty tank to people just for the sake of, I'm guessing, empowerment? It's funny because if you put your dirty laundry in the open and nobody comments on them, why would you want to clean them then? What would make you clean them in the future? Sorry. I don't know. I feel like most of us kind of like operate on some standard. And if we never notice how this standard is not really supporting why we do things, right? Like instead of semi cleaning your clothes twice a week, 3 times a week, or twice a week, clean them properly once, right? I don't know. Wear the same shirt 1 extra day, but clean it properly, right? I don't know. Just there are ways where we can kind of like reduce the impact of a low bar on us, or at least we could notice that our standards are not really like at a level that allow us to kind of like explore what we want out of this conversation. I'm emptying the tank, right? But if my standards are just water, then I'll empty the tank and just maybe clean the tank. And I wouldn't give a fuck about the filters. But then I'll have to clean it once a month. It's also fine as long as I'm getting clean water. But at least I'm actually thinking about the water, not everything else around it. So I don't know. It feels like there's an exposure of your insecurities that allows you to feel okay with them. And there's an exposure of your insecurities that kind of allows you to engage them in a way for them to evolve into confidence. And that's partially why I mentioned the story. There are two ways. You either approach it from I'm exposing myself in order to just feel better about it, and if everyone say it's okay, then okay, yeah. Well, the other way, I'm exposing it so I could actually see what it is that I'm actually trying to go through and get over it. And with that, I notice how I speak about it, I guess, or just I allow basically the world to kind of poke. It's a video.